applause and thank you, Brian.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how to go forward after an introduction like that because I cannot live up to that. Sorry. Karen and I work together in the Office of Drinking Water in the new capacity development and policy section. And we are excited to be able to bring to you not only a discussion of what kind of resources are available to water systems now, but also how we're going to provide services in the future. So I am the project manager for the capacity development strategy for the Office of Drinking Water. And Karen, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Karen Clockey. I'm the capacity development coordinator for our team. I've got lots of years of background in environmental and construction management. So that's where I come in. I really enjoy going out and helping the small water systems find their asset managements and help create a healthy drinking water system for them. That's all.
And my role is as I strategize for the Office of Drinking Water, but my background is in planning and basically helping cities and counties understand the importance and role of drinking water in their world. There are times when I think many of you will agree that cities and counties don't always get what we're up to. And so part of my job is to help them understand the way of the world of drinking water. So 2 parts to this presentation today. The first part, because it's the boring and painful part, is the capacity development strategy. The strategy helps us answer the question, how will ODW help public water systems maintain public health and achieve community goals? And I'm the lead for that activity. Karen is doing implementation. Go ahead.
Oh, so I'll be out. Hopefully the pandemic will end soon. Our CAC and I have been putting on, mostly our CAC, and I'm nodding my head a lot, putting on asset management trainings, Google Earth Pro meetings. We're going to do a board training one coming up here next week, I think. And then a couple weeks after that, it's setting rates and financial management for small water systems. So all these classes have been free. And they have CEUs approved by them, by Washington Certification Services. I keep trying to say Washington Correctional Services, and that's not the right one. Oops. Anyway, you can, there'll be an address at the end where you can sign up for free. We got 3 classes of each kind. We're trying to kind of keep Northwest together and Southwest together and Eastern together, so you get to meet your neighbors when you're on these classes. Anyway, you get 0.3 CEUs and they are free. So if you're needing classes to get your operator certification, here's 0.6 for CEUs. Okay, Brian, your turn.
So we'll finish up with that because everybody has to eat their broccoli first. And I'm the broccoli. So capacity development strategy. So the federal government requires us to have a capacity development strategy, but we're the state of Washington, we would do it anyway. So the question is, what is this strategy supposed to be? And essentially it is a document. It's our approach to ensure that every new and existing public water system acquires and maintains technical, managerial, and financial capacity to deliver safe, reliable drinking water and satisfying the aspirations of its community now and into the foreseeable future. You may notice that, we typically talk about, we help water systems deliver safe and reliable drinking water, but there's that extra bit, satisfying the aspirations of its community, which is part of what we do, but we have to understand that there's a context here, that capacity is not something that you reach and then you stop and it's done, right? You have to be able to be ready for the next challenge that's coming. And as it turns out, the world is changing and water systems need to be able to change with it. And so understanding what the aspirations of the community are is also important in making sure that we have a full strategy so that we can help you out with that. But why is this important? Well, capacity development is everything that the Office of Drinking Water does. If we're not doing something that helps water systems prepare for or meet a challenge, then we're off topic. So what it does is it allows us to align our statewide goals with our authority, our funding, and our timelines. And so it describes how we try to help every water system. It keeps us accountable to the public and links our work responsibilities with our financial requirements. If we're going to do important work, then there's going to have to be some resources spent in order to provide that. There are 6 federal requirements that we're supposed to consider, solicit public comment on, and include, and in fact, we've already started on all of these things. 1, methods to identify systems needing improvement. In other words, how do we know when somebody needs help? Factors that impair or improve capacity development. What gets in the way of water systems being able to meet their responsibilities? What helps them meet their responsibilities? 3, assistance to public water systems, encouraging partnerships and training and certification of operators. These are things that we're required to do. We do it anyway. Establishing a baseline to measure improvements. In other words, understand what the landscape is and how things change over time. Identify stakeholders. Who cares about this stuff so that we can include them in the process? And asset management encouragement and implementation assistance, which we've already engaged in, but we have to be able to explain how we do that to the federal government. So that's the requirement part. The other, well, what I want to focus on is what is it that we're going to be adding to this strategy? And there are certain things that are foundational to the way the Office of Drinking Water works. And we would hope that we could share that with you so that you can then turn around and say, okay, this is what ODW does. This is how I can help make ODW better. So we're going to talk about each of these 6 things. I'm not going to name the list because we're actually just going to go through them in order. So the first thing is this concept that water system capacity is a spectrum. It isn't something that you achieve and then you're done. You're below the line or you're above the line. It's water systems become better and better at their work over time. And we can help different systems in different ways. So first of all, I want to say that this is for use for our strategy development. It's not like we're going to go through all 4,153 public water systems and say, you're substandard, you're resilient, or something like that. This is to help us understand what kinds of strategies are appropriate for what kinds of situations. So let's go through this a little bit. So there are people out there, I know you're going to be shocked, people who are unable or unwilling to take the appropriate action in the face of a public health threat. Now, obviously, nobody who's taking time to show up to IACC is going to be in this category, right? These are people who just are not going to take the action that's necessary in order to keep the water safe. above that group of people are water systems that aren't meeting public health standards, but at least are trying. And that's better than the recalcitrant people, right? And then, oops, let's go forward in the presentation, shall we? And then there are vulnerable systems. They meet the standard, but only just barely. And so a disruption may cause them to become substandard because they're not prepared for whatever disruption may come. And seriously, Brian. And then you would have resilient systems, ones that are being able to do more than the absolute minimum standards. They're prepared for potential disruptions. There may be some kind of impact because they haven't eliminated the risk, but at least they have taken some measures in order to reduce the severity of the event. And then finally, seriously, this was way more impressive if I could just go forward in the presentation rather than backwards all the time. And then sustainable systems are ones where you've taken measures to eliminate the hazard entirely. How do I differentiate between resilient and sustainable? If you have a well that has nitrate in it, a resilient system would have, a system that has some sort of redundant nitrate treatment of some kind to prevent that. Like, for instance, you've got a treatment system, but you've got another well that doesn't have nitrate in it. And so you can balance those off each other. A sustainable solution is not using the well that has nitrate in it at all. You've eliminated the hazard. That's not always possible. And as it turns out, resiliency is always the goal that we're pushing water systems to, but we would prefer the sustainable solution over a resilient one. The point to all of this for us is to say, look, there's a spectrum of different kinds of activities that we can engage in, right? We wouldn't fine someone because they weren't sustainable, right? Fining people or putting a water system into receivership or something like that is only appropriate for these recalcitrant systems that are way over on the left, right? And so there's enforcement is, the last thing that we want to do. We want to incentivize people. We want to encourage. We want to, ensure that people are meeting the mandate. After all of that, we would end up doing enforcement type activities and not before. It's built into the philosophy of the organization. Now, I wanted to say that I've said a couple of times now, capacity isn't something that you reach and then you're done. The world is changing. And so I just want to, do a little bit of celebrating because this last week, we haven't resolved an issue. At least we now have a solution for PFAS. We have a rule that is going to be coming out that's been agreed to. So that sort of thing, to make sure that there is some path, some way of addressing this emerging contaminant is the type of thing that we may be facing more and more often over time. And so one of the things that we're going to be focusing on over the next couple of decades is how do we deal with emerging contaminants? Not like one thing at a time, but in general, how do we address these, right? We understand that there's a workforce transition going on, the silver tsunami that we refer to. There's a lot of aging infrastructure out there, which is going to complicate affordability issues, even beyond the whole affordability issues that came up during COVID. But at some point or another, all of this infrastructure is going to have to be replaced. which means we think that there may be a few more recalcitrant purveyors out there over time because they'll be faced with this huge bill. They'll be unwilling to pay that bill, but they'll have to. And so we have to address that there are some people who are just simply going to have to leave the business, and we need to make sure that there are people available in order to pick up that business, even though some of these systems may be in really bad shape. So those are some of the challenges that we're going to be dealing with in the environment. But there are also new tools that are coming up in the environment, like asset management. Super important for us to understand the current state of water systems and how they're going to be improved over time. Local partnerships are going to become more and more important over time. Program planning will be helping us guide through the most important issues that water systems are going to be facing over these years. Consumer engagement is going to become more important. We all understand that our customers have a right to know what's going on with our water, but I think it's might be more important that we start helping them understand these issues. We don't raise rates because we like raising rates, but because the money is necessary in order to serve them. And equity, diversity, and inclusion are going to bring more people in to be able to help us provide services to people. So this ever-changing environment is something that we need to be able to hear from you about as part of our capacity development strategy. So you see these little X's and checks that were on the last page is all part of what we call the evolving environment. And this basically is how the Office of Drinking Water works when it comes to policy development. We understand that the environment is changing over time, and the landscape is, what is the current state of public water systems in the state of Washington? There may be a gap between what is expected of us and where water systems are at now. So we need to identify that gap, and we need to be able to figure out whether it's possible to bridge that gap in a reasonable amount of time, or is there some other tool that we need to seek out? That helps us set goals for each of our programs. And when I talk about programs, I'm talking, how do we deal with nitrate? How do we make sure that we have a good sanitary survey program? How do we deal with surface water issues? That sort of thing. Each of our programs will then set up plans. This is how we're going to approach the problem. We'll then go out there and implement that, and then we'll measure over time. How are things improving? Are things improving? And then that feeds back into our landscape assessment so that we can see if this gap is closing. So when it comes to TMF, capacity, technical, managerial, financial, these are the programs that I was talking about before. Now you see planning pops up in multiple places because, well, I'm a planner and that's what's important to me. So, but also, some programs go across multiple sectors, but you'll see that we have a lot of attention on this technical side, right? If you're having a coliform problem, we will be there to help you out, right? But maybe we're not providing quite as much support when it comes to managerial and financial type stuff. And so we're being aware that things like asset management is filling a gap that we can fill by helping you take care of your asset management issues. For program planning, what each of those programs that were all around the outside, we have goals, and then we set a timeline for how long we want to take before we achieve that goal, and then we provide resources in order to try to achieve that goal in an amount of time. And then we use different types of strategies to attack the problem, which includes all of these various types of approaches. Now, self-help is absolutely the best thing for us because it means that you had a problem and you figured it out on your own because you had the resources already. And we think of your water system plan or your small water system management program as the absolute best kind of self-help you could possibly have. Instructions on how to run your system, how to make decisions about it. But you can also go to your peers, which is great. But like in this sort of situation, this is actually group technical assistance, where there's a group of people and I'm providing you, well, I'm not providing you assistance, I'm lecturing you, but, but Karen's going to be helping you out. But the reason why Karen has this, these resources to provide to you is because we think of a whole bunch of different kinds of strategies that we can provide to you based on where you are in the capacity development spectrum. Just like these regulatory responses, compliance, enforcement, those are at the bottom because we don't want to do those things. Those are our last resort type of activities. The things up at the top, training that comes from technical assistance, financial assistance, working together in order to make sure that you have the skill sets necessary. Self-help, those are our preferred methods, and we try to help water systems live their lives at the top of this rather than at the bottom of this. And then each of our programs will be measuring its progress toward its goals so that we can find out where water systems are at, we can figure out where the big problems are, and be able to provide resources to help people out. So EPA has extended the timeline for us to turn this in. Initially, it was due at the end of this year. It will now be due at the end of next year. So we're anticipating that we're going to have a comment period next summer on the actual text of what I've been referring to here. And then we'll be adopting it by the end of next year. So that's my part of the presentation. You can contact me at any time. We can chat over it. We also, I would encourage you to participate in groups like the Drinking Water Advisory Group. It's an opportunity for water systems to interact with ODW on their policy level issues, right? But at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this over to Karen just in time to miss out on chatting with Sharon. Oh, well. Karen?
Hi. Okay, I need to keep Brian online here because I don't have the ability to change the slides.
That's right.
So what do we need to do to start? We need to get you guys trained up so you know what you're looking for. Some of you guys know already, some of you guys are doing it. Maybe we can help you be a little bit better. But with the training, and you get your asset management stuff grouped together, you're eligible for more funding and financing. And that's the important piece right now. Brian? Okay. You can't fix something if you don't know the subject or the product. So you need to be able to put together an asset management program. We don't dictate what one you use or how you use it, but our CAC has provided a very good one. I like it because it's got automatic, if you change dates, it automatically adjusts, it adjusts money values. It's a good thing. The one that EPA had, they are no longer sponsoring. You had to change everything on its own. You had to follow the magic breadcrumb trail to make sure everything got done. And my patience isn't that good, and it took way too much time. So there's others out there. You can try them, but our CAC has one that's free, and it's at the end of this slideshow how to get to it. So education is the key. Lori Blau and her group from RCAC well, usually we're out, but we've been doing it all virtually this year. Trainings, we've done asset management, Google Earth Pro. We're doing finance one coming up and board training. So we're out there trying to help folks help themselves. Okay, Brian. Okay, so Lori and her buddies did a poll for us and asked quite a few people. They got over 100 responses back. And the most important classes that people felt they needed or wanted was asset management, mapping, and Google Earth Pro is free. And so we offered that one up for you guys. And then the training for boards and management, sometimes management and the boards aren't quite hearing or syncing with what needs to be done with the operators. So we need to get that going. And then setting rates. So we have a financial one coming up and that will help you with the setting rates piece. Okay. As I said, RCAC is on board. We have a contract with them. We've been putting on anywhere from 6 to 8 trainings a month. We're down to the last in November. And so I think we're going to take December off right now. That's what we're looking at, and start again in January, putting more classes out. So we have the board rules and responsibilities. That's the one that's coming up the 26th of October. And you can attend any one of the 3, but we kind of grouped them. So Northwest was one day and Southwest was one day and Eastern was one day. So you guys can see who's over there in the chat room and say, hey, I see old so-and-so, maybe we can get together and talk or whatever. And then the basic financial management for small water systems, which has got a rate study piece in it. Once again, is November 2nd to 4th. All the classes will be virtual. Right now, we don't have a timeline when we can go back out in the field. So hang on, we try to accommodate. We can get about 50 people in each virtual class. If we've had more than 50 people sign up for classes, so we've either juggled them into one of the other 2 classes, or with asset management, we even put on one extra one that was good for statewide. So we try, if we have the interest, we'll make it happen for you. Okay. Okay.
Karen, Karen, do people just go to the Department of Health website to sign up for those trainings?
Yeah, yes, you can do that. And there's also Lori Blau, RCAC, at the end of this presentation. All her information is there, and it's a lot easier just to go through that than come through the DOH one.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, anytime. Okay, this is the asset management in scoring. I don't know what kind of screen you guys have got, but this looks like little ants walking on my screen. We divide it in 2 different pieces, or part of it in 2 different pieces, and figure out the value of what we're working with. We have the asset management, the condition piece. So if you have a rating of 1, that means it's in like new condition. If you give it a 10, that means it's doomed, it's on its last leg, or it's already sitting broken in the corner and it gets no points. And it's a sliding scale between them. And then we also have the critical number, and that's a multiplier. So if you have something that's unserviceable and the assets are in the need to be used, end up with 50 points or no points, that means you're in trouble and you need to get fixing that right away. And you can go through your whole water system. I mean, it depends how technical you want to get. For every fire hydrant, every length of pipe size, most people break it up like 12-inch, 8, 10, whatever. And say the date that was put in and the condition. And that way you can figure out how much you need to save or how you're going to finance getting it fixed. So, Brian? Okay. And here's the asset management inventory sheet. There's others out there and they're good. This one just happens to be my favorite because it fixes things as you go along. So up there under asset and description, let's say you put 10 fire hydrants and that the year that you installed them, 1965. Well, you're good, they're good for maybe 30 years. Oops. They're overdue to be replaced or rejuvenated or something. Oops. My computer just did its own little thing. Oh, I hate that when that happens. Okay. Oh, son of a sea cookie. Okay, here we are.
You doing okay, Karen?
Well,
Yeah.
I've been having computer problems and this just exasperated it. Okay. Let's see if I can get it to you. Oh, here. Oh, good. I got it. Okay. So anyway, this asset management inventory, and I was so proud of myself. I didn't F-bomb. That was such good opportunity. Oh, okay. In the trainings, we show you how to fill this out. That offline, you can contact me or Lori Blau, and we can help you. Your regional planners should be able to help you. So we'll go there from here. So Brian, next. Okay, this is a Google Earth Pro map, and I was so I had no experience in doing a Google Earth thing at all. The first time I took it was down in Oregon. I was like a kid in a candy store. I'm just so amazed at what we can get for free for the water systems through Google Earth Pro. You just have to know your system a little bit. And like this one, the different colors mean what size line they're in. Some people, they have all the same line everywhere, but then maybe they change the colors to red, yellow, and green or blue or something. And the ones that are in bad shape or need replacing soon or come up red. There's little icons, dots. It can't show you the whole thing, but it can tell you where your fire hydrants are at. You have to, click them in place the first time. And they can tell you where the valves are, hydrants, whatever. It's really a good tool. Okay, next one, Brian. And here's a more simplified one. And it just tells you, this is a small water system. It tells you what size the different pipes are and where they're located. And it's kind of a kind of good to know what you've got here. That way you can have a few things in your barn or stockpile or whatever, so you can have things to repair. If you didn't know that you had a bunch of 6-inch pipe, you thought everything was 2, 4, or 8, and they find out, oh, I got some 6-inch. Maybe you need to have a few sticks of the 6-inch. So Sunday morning when it breaks, your operator can fix it for you. You have the parts on hand. Okay, next. Okay, and what is so cool is a lot of times your county has aerial pictures of your water system. Now they may not fit, the wrong size, wrong dimension, whatever, but they have the this is what got me so excited. You can stretch the aerial map to fit your road map, or you can take your road map, stretch it to fix your aerial map, and you know what's around. So like with this water system, there's a bunch of houses over in the southwest corner, where up in the northwest corner, there doesn't seem to be as much activity. So if there's a problem and you know where it's at, you could look at your map real quick and say, oh, the elementary school's there. Ooh, so-and-so nursing homes there. Ooh, we need to get there and get it fixed quick. So that's the kind of thing I like to see, working tool. Okay, Brian. Okay, we plan to have rate setting and board management training in October and November. And RCAC offers free classes. You can contact Lori and she can hook you up. Just to let you know that not all the free classes from RCAC offer CEUs. Washington State requires at least 3 hours to get a CEU. A lot of the classes that RCAC offers are 2 hours or less. But if you already have your CEUs or don't need more CEUs, it's still a good source of training. The price is right. So, okay, next. And here's some other training sites. Evergreen Rural Water of Washington, they have trainings. They also are having an apprenticeship program for new soon-to-be water system operators. So if you have some people that are interested in that, you might want to hook up with them. Pacific Northwest section of the American Water Works Association, they have trainings. Professional training associates, they're out of Shelton, but they go all over Washington and Oregon. They have some really great water system classes and wastewater system classes. Some of them you can get dual credits for, like both water and wastewater. There's Rural Community Assistance Corporation. They do trainings. We give them money in a contract to help put on trainings. We also, EPA has been very generous with us and them and have paid for some of the extra trainings. And then we have Washington Environmental Training Center at Green River College. WETRIC is what it's called. They're a good, I believe it's a 2-year program. And I'm with the understanding everybody gets hired that graduates from there. So anyway, that's the ones I know about. Brian. Okay. We need to get your board on board. Sometimes sometimes I've been to meetings where I feel like I'm in a room of my elderly relatives where we've done this way for 50 years, $5 is good enough, that's all we're charging. Well, no, you have to be able to bring them up and explain to them why things cost more than they did in 1965 when the water system went in. And then remember to tell them about upcoming trainings. They're more than welcome to come to our trainings, because sometimes when the board understands what we're trying to explain, they have aha moments and go, oh, that's what they're talking about. Okay, so if you educate everybody, it's easier to get things done. And they also need to know their responsibilities. And sometimes that's hard for them to hear because they thought it was just going to be a fun thing where they got to meet once a month and talk about the water system. Well, then they have to realize that they're responsible for it too. So I've actually had water board members quit when they found out all their responsibilities. So that's not my goal, but it has happened. Okay, next. Revising rates is never fun. Oh, yeah. It's like telling somebody their insurance is going up, you know, like, oh, okay. People don't want any changes at all, especially if it hits them in their wallet. But without the adjusted rates, you don't know how much replacement or rebuilding or growth you can afford. We've had water systems that have a water system area, but they don't have any lines down to the far corner. And there's a group of people that want to come in and put a small business park in. They couldn't, they didn't have any way to figure out how much it was going to cost or how much they should charge the people moving in for that. So with the setting your water rates and using your asset management list that showed you that our CAC provides, you can figure out what that would be per connection. Okay, next. Okay, you may need to conduct a median household income survey depending on the size and location of your system. Okay, like let's say the city of Olympia, they have one right, you know, you can just click in and on the internet and find it. But some of you guys are small communities, or you're not even considered a community, you're just a homeowners association or something. There's no way to find out what medium household income is. So you have to do an inventory. Now, IACC's got the forms to do it. It's on their website. We can help you with it. You can hire somebody to do it for you. I've had Eagle Scout people go out and do it with a little help, and they did it for their Eagle Scout pins and patches, whatever, and got it done free for the community. So there's different ways to do this. There's also companies out there that do it for a profit. So we can hook you up, or we'll try to hook you up with somebody. Okay. Funding and finance. Usually people don't have enough money in their back pocket to build a new reservoir or replace a couple 100 feet of pipe or whatever. So check out the IACC website. There's a list. It's a multi-page little brochure that you can download, and it gets updated 2 to 3 times a year, and it tells all the different loans and grants that are available. There are a lot more loans than there are grants. So, grants usually are small and more for like a planning piece, opposed to building a whole reservoir. Though Department of Agricultural Rural Development does pay for a lot of things, physical things out in the small counties. So anyway, check out the infrastructure, infra-funding resource page. And then there's also, you can talk to your regional engineer and planner. They often have opportunities on information that's coming up. Sometimes Department of Commerce and other places get, I don't say unexpected money, but maybe unplanned money. It just gets dropped in. So maybe they can help you find money. And you can always call me. Sometimes I know. And here's your regional offices. Right now, we're in the middle of the areas are going to stay the same, but there's new people coming on board. So if you, Brian, the next page. Okay, like Southwest, I think Fern and Mark are going to be there, but some of the engineers are gone and they're in the process of replacing them. Same with Northwest. You know, they're missing a couple of their engineers. They got promoted, and both their planners are going to stay the same, but there's some of the engineers are taking other positions. And Eastern, their planners are staying the same. And I don't know about their engineers. I think they're staying the same too. So anyway, that's what's going on with those engineers. So if you have any questions, let us know. You can call me, you can email me. All our information is following, I think. Isn't it, Brian? Is it? Oh, maybe not. Okay.
Come talk to us.
Sorry about that.
Let's see. I can do gov. So there's my email address.
Okay.
Well, and of course we're all. I've put it into the chat.
Okay.
Fact is that we're all remote at this point. In fact, like in the Eastern office right now, we can't even get into our office at this point. We're all home based right now. So contacting us through email is probably going to be your best chance. Lori, you have put some very useful stuff into the chat. There's registration links for a couple of the trainings that are coming up. And you also say that there are other sources of funding for MHI surveys. And so you may be able to help folks out at no charge under certain circumstances. So are there any questions that we can answer for you? Hey, Cynthia, I think that Karen and I are going to be going to another session right after this. Do you know anything about that? So like an asset management, how do we get started sort of thing?
It's supposed to be a round table.
In the chat room.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes. So at 9:30, well, after the session, you can exit the session and go into the chat rooms and can talk with Brian and Karen about asset management. If you have questions about that, does anyone have questions now?
Hey, if y'all know it, we can start the test.
Yeah, no, we didn't tell them there was a pop quiz at the end, Brian.
It's only fair. Well, the thing is that running the water system, that's your test. Are you ready?
Agreed. I don't see any questions in the chat. So I will just remind people to, the game code is capacity. So make sure you note that, go in, enter, get your points. I'm going to give it back to Shane.
Oh, that was really exciting. It's always fun to learn about asset management. I mean, technology is always changing. Our systems are always changing. So it seems like there's always updates and stuff that we need to keep in mind as we move forward. So Brian and Karen, we really appreciate you guys doing this for us. It was a really, really enlightening presentation, and just thank you.
You're welcome.
And with that, I think we'll go ahead and start our break. You guys, you got a half an hour break, but go ahead and check out the chat rooms if you got a chance. And then we will see everybody back at 10 o'clock for the 10 o'clock sessions.
Thanks, Brian and Karen.
Hey,
Take
you're
care,
welcome.
everyone.
Bye.